Hey guys, my name is Dane Boruff and I'm the student pastor here at Park Avenue United Methodist Church, and I just wanted to take just a second and share something with my students directly and with parents and maybe just friends or anybody who needs to hear an encouraging word right now. And this is just something that God's kind of been laying on my heart, and I really felt the need to share it. So here we go. So my wife Brooke and I just recently moved from our one-bedroom apartment to a house with a yard. And the yard has been really awesome for us because when you're stuck at home so much, it's been really nice to get out in the yard. It's been therapeutic to get out there and work on things and try to make it better and try to make things grow. But I was looking at my grass, and there was a good amount of grass there, and it looked pretty good. But I'm looking in some spots that looked kind of sparse, and there was just I wanted it to be fuller. I wanted it to be more green, more life, thicker. The kind of grass that you look at and you're like, I want to take my shoes off and walk around in that. It's Masters Week, and it always makes me think of just nice, perfect green grass. So anyway, I'm doing research, and I'm like, well, of course I'm gonna have to get some seed, right? If I want more grass, I'm gonna have to plant more seed. And so I'm doing the research, and God drew my attention to this word, and it's actually a process that comes before you plant the seed, and it's called dethatching, right? And if you don't know what dethatching is, that's okay. I didn't know what it was either, and I'm gonna kind of show you what dethatching is, and then I'm gonna talk about why I think God drew my attention to this. And it just wasn't just me learning about how to grow grass. So let's go outside and look at my grass. Okay, so we're now in my front yard, and I just want to show you the grass and kind of show you what I'm talking about with this dethatching. So here's the grass, and that actually looks pretty good. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I think that looks pretty good. But let's take a closer look at it. So when you get down here, what you're going to notice, get the pine straw and stuff out of the way, you see this layer right here? This layer. See that? That dead grass, that's called thatch. And before you can plant seed, you've got to get that stuff out of the way. So what you do is you come through with a power rake and you rake it all up, and as you're doing that, it actually, this stuff comes up on the top here, and it actually starts to make the grass look worse, right? It looks a lot worse, okay? Because all this death is coming to the top. Can you start to see why maybe I think this is appropriate? Let's go back inside. It's hot. So when I started thinking about this thatch stuff, what is it? Where did it come from? Well, it's grass, right? It's grass that has died and it's fallen over, and it's actually began to form a layer over the top. It kind of weaves itself together, and what it ends up doing is it ends up stopping water and seed and things from penetrating into the soil and preventing new growth. And I just couldn't help but think of some of the parallels in our lives, right? How often do we let things that were good at one time begin to become a barrier for new growth in our life because we continue to hold on to them, maybe when the time's passed, or maybe we're putting too much emphasis on them now, but it's a barrier for new growth in our relationship with Christ. And I couldn't help but kind of recognize that in this time where God has kind of stripped all that away, right? The sports that maybe we started to put more priority on than our relationship with God, the relationships with our friends that we started to put more priority on the relationship with God, our jobs, anything that gets in the way of you growing deeper with God, I think is a good equivalent to that thatch, right? That has become this layer, this barrier that's keeping new growth from happening. So what I believe God is doing in this time is He's giving us a chance to dethatch our yards, right? To pull all this stuff out and plant new seed. So my question, I guess, and my challenge is, what are you doing with this time that you have? Because I can't tell you how many times I've used the excuse that, man, I really wish I had more time to get into the Word. I wish I had more time for prayer. I wish I had more time for this. I wish I had more time to study. I wish I had more time to just spend in the presence of God, but I don't have that excuse right now. For some of us, some of us are working harder than we ever have. The healthcare workers, people that are doing volunteering and helping, people that help feed the needy communities. All those people are working so hard right now, and I have a heart for them. But for a lot of us, this time has been a time of slowing down. This time has been a time where almost we're twiddling our thumbs and starting to go crazy a little bit. So what are you doing with your time? Are you using this time where God has pulled everything out of your life for a moment's time? Because this is going to end. This is going to pass. Are you using this time that God's pulled it all out to grow closer to Him? Or are you wasting it? Because the reality is, if you're not using it to grow closer to Him, you are wasting it. We can say I'm being really productive. My wife's putting me to work. I mean, I still got paint on my hands from this weekend. She's putting me to work. But if I'm not using this time, if I'm using it to improve my house, and I'm not using it to improve my temple, right? My relationship with the Father, then it is an absolute waste of time. So in this moment, I just want you to encourage you to not waste your time. Now, I'm not saying that God sent this virus. I'm not saying that He sent this to us to clear these things out of our lives. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that what was intended for evil, God will use for good. He shows that time and time again in His Word, right? With Joseph, right? His brothers sold him off into slavery. What they intended for evil, God used to save so many thousands of lives, right? Moses, same thing. Pharaoh wanted all the firstborn sons to be killed. His mother saved him, and then Moses leads the Israelites out of Egypt. What was intended for evil, God used for good. David and Goliath. There's so many things that were intended for evil, but God used for good. So I just want to encourage you in this time to look for the ways God is trying to use this for good. But I can guarantee you one thing that He always wants is a deeper relationship with you. So listen, I love you guys. There's nothing you can do about it. I can't wait to see you again, and stay safe.